What is up, guys? I'm Neal Jolly and welcome inside Jolly Studios, where we talk about everything cameras to sneakers. And today we're talking sneakers and a pair of sneakers that is in my top 5 Jordan retro silhouettes. Hands down, we're talking about the Air Jordan 5 Retro Fire Reds. Thank you so much for stopping by the channel and checking out today's video. And if you're excited as I am to talk about this Jordan pair, we are doing a full in-depth review of this sneaker. And continuing with this weekend, we also get episodes 7 and 8 of the Last Dance series that drop tomorrow. And man, I'm so excited. And it's just so timely that these Jordan 5 Fire Reds dropped right around the time that the series is now out. This pair is nostalgic for me as a kid, always looking at this pair and wanting to pick one up. So I'm so glad that I have them in hand today. But before we get to throwing them on feet, I've got them still in box. And so we're gonna do an unboxing in this video. We're also going to talk a little bit about the history behind the Jordan 5 as well as the Fire Red colorway. We're going to do a full in-depth review of this sneaker as it pertains to its materials, give you guys an on-foot look of this sneaker, and then finally giving you my verdict on whether you should shoot, hold, or pass on your shot at these sneakers. So without further ado, let's get into the unboxing. Coming in an OG Air Jordan 5 sneaker box that looks closer to how these originally dropped in 1990, we've got a black box with a larger Jumpman branding in red on the top of the box, and Nike Air branding on the sides in red, and a smaller Jumpman in red on the bottom of the box. This is different from the box that was used in 2013, and notable differences include the Jumpman Air on the sides of the box instead of the Nike Air, and lastly, a difference in the sizing labels as well. Upon lifting the lid of the 2020 Fire Reds, we have the sneakers resting inside the standard black plastic wrapping with no other dressings inside the box. You will, however, notice a thin paper sheet that is wedged between the lace lock attached to the laces and the 3M shoe tongue in effort to protecting the tongue from damage caused by the lace lock. These Jordan 5 Retros come in a OG colorway described as true white, fire red, black, and metallic silver. As the first Jordan sneaker that dropped in the 90s, this is a sneaker that released in 1990 and did drop in 4 OG colorways: the metallic, the grape, and wait for it, the Fire Reds. And as you can tell, this is a different colorway than the sneaker that we are talking about today. And according to SoulCollector.com, the colorway that we are talking about today is just dubbed as the Air Jordan 5. However, both sneakers do look very similar and are described as true white, fire red, and black, but how the colors were used on the sneaker varies. And if you're curious, the number 23 on that heel paneling of that Fire Red OG colorway was the only OG colorway that got the number 23 embroidered in its heel paneling. In fact, another OG colorway, which is the black Jordan 5 Retros, is the only sneaker that Michael Jordan actually did have the number 23 embroidered into his sneaker, and only his sneaker, as that was also released without the number 23. And in terms of the inspiration behind the sneaker and designed by the iconic Tinker Hatfield, this was inspired by a World War II Mustang fighter jet, which did have a cartoon shark figure that was painted on the aircraft as well. And so we will talk a little bit about the inspiration behind shark, and specifically shark teeth, with regards to this sneaker as well. However, what makes this sneaker and this release so special is that it's the closest in resemblance, its cut, its aesthetic, its overall colorway to the Retro, the first Retro that was released in the year 2000. And I guess that was the closest at the time, of course, to the original sneakers that were debuted in 1990 by Michael Jordan himself. And so let's get into an in-depth review of this sneaker, starting from the front to the back and from the top to the bottom. Starting with the uppers of this sneaker, this is some really quality leather, and I mean it. There is no synthetic to be found here. Just a gentle touch against the leather on the sneaker, and you already begin to see how its texture reveals itself. It almost gets a little wrinkly, and the texture just feels so soft and forgiving on hand. It's got a nice white coat of polyurethane paint on the uppers of this sneaker, and it is actually true white, bright to my eyes, and not an an off-white or a sail. Moving to the lacing system, we've got some flat white laces that do come laced on the sneaker out of box and weaving through 8 eyelets along the sneaker, and notably coming out of the box with a lace lock that's featuring a smaller red lace lock with Nike branding on it in black that's built into this larger clear buckle with Nike branding embossed on it. Another fun fact is that the Air Jordan 5 was the first Air Jordan sneaker that was released with an additional lace lock on its lacing system, and then we did see that on the Air Jordan 6 and future silhouettes as well. And then behind the flat white laces, we've got a standout shoe tongue. At the bottom of the shoe tongue, we've got this clear mesh, and as we move upward and into the silver 3M portion of the shoe tongue, we've got these molded flex grooves in the tongue, and moving along the top of the tongue, we've got a Jumpman that is embroidered in red directly into the shoe tongue. The silver 3M on the tongue of this sneaker is quite flashy, and honestly, in daylight, you can actually see how shiny it really is. And when worn at night and when exposed to some light like a flashlight, these do become reflective and quite bright, which is such a cool touch. And sliding over to the midfoot on both the lateral and medial sides, it is almost identical with this clear white mesh rubberized paneling in the middle of the midfoot. And then as we move towards the ankle, we've got some really nice padding along the ankle collar for a supportive fit. And really from the back of the sneaker is where you can really appreciate the look of that beefy padding around the ankle, and it just looks so nice. And speaking of the back of the sneaker is where we will find the embroidered Nike Air branding in red directly into the heel paneling of this sneaker. And then moving inside the sneaker, we have a fire red interior fabric lining, and we've got a black insole with the Nike Air branding printed in white on the heel of the insole. Upon removing the insole and looking directly in the sneaker, you can see that these are board lasted like the OGs were, and not a strobel board that you'll see on some of the other Jordans and more recent Jordan 5s. And the reason for this is that the board lasting does support the midsole and uppers with a more structured and durable build. And then on the fire red interior of the shoe tongue is where we will find the Air Jordan branding that is flipped upside down to the eye when looking down at the sneaker while wearing it, and the branding is stitched into the shoe tongue directly. And for those of you curious about why this is stitched upside down on the interior of the shoe tongue, it simply is because these sneakers were rocked with the flap kind of worn forward back in the day, and so if somebody else saw your sneaker from a distance and was looking at your sneaker, these would actually appear to them right side up. Moving to the midsole, we've got a black polyurethane midsole with wavy grooves throughout that run along the whole sneaker. And then moving to the lateral side of the midsole is the most iconic part of this sneaker for me, and probably as a kid the part that drew me in the most in looking at the sneaker, and is likely the most recognizable part of the sneaker from afar for a lot of people, and that is these fire red zigzagging shark teeth, which is just iconic, and Tinker drew inspiration from the World War II fighter planes, which were painted to look like a shark. On the medial side, we don't have the iconic shark teeth, but the midsole does have a smaller hit of the visible icy sole and a hit of white on the midsole as well. And then finally, the visible air unit on the heel. And then moving to the outsole, we've got 2 herringbone patterned blue icy patches. And then towards the arc of the foot, the icy sole is divided by this black rubber with the Nike branding debossed. We also have that black rubber along the tip of the toe of the outsole, and of course transparent through the icy sole, we see a Jumpman printed in red at the bottom of the midsole. And now I thought we could take some time to compare the 2020 pair against the pair it did follow up, which is the Jordan 5 Fire Reds that dropped in 2013. So this pair is 7 years old, and in my opinion there are some notable differences and improvements. And I do want to preface this comparison by saying that while this pair was kept in relatively good condition, there is some yellowing and discoloration which happens over time on the sneaker. The sneaker is a size 8.5, which is a full size down from my 9.5, and I do want to shout out my brother Andrew for the assist on today's review between both these sneakers. This is his pair, and he really did rock this pair a lot over the last 7 years. And so I did want to get that out there because there are notable differences already between both sneakers. And again, this sneaker is a size down, and because it was worn, there is some discoloration. And so in drawing the comparisons between both sneakers, probably the most notable to the eye is the heel paneling of both sneakers, with the 2013 pair having a Jumpman that is embroidered in red on the heel paneling of the sneaker, and the 2020s having the Nike Air branding. And I think a lot of sneaker enthusiasts and Jordan purists were happy to see that the Nike Air had returned to the heel paneling of the 2020 pair, because this is how the OG colorway did release with the Nike Air branding on the sneaker in 1990. Another difference would certainly be the shoe tongue, with the 2020 pair intentionally being more shiny, almost to suggest to anybody who did see the sneaker that these are indeed a 3M shoe tongue. And the 2013 pair is that silver 3M, but definitely not as shiny and a lot more muted. And in comparing the interior of the shoe tongue, the 2013 pair actually has the Air Jordan branding stitched right side up, whereas the 2020 has it stitched upside down, which is truer to the OG. And then moving inside the sneaker, the 2020 pair is board lasted and the 2013 pair was actually strobo boarded. Another subtle difference between both sneakers are their lace locks. On the 2013 pair, there's actually no branding on the red portion of the lace lock, and on the clear portion there is a Jumpman embossed. And with the 2020 pair, there is a Nike branding on both the red and clear portions of the lace lock. And lastly, in continuing the comparison between the Nike Air branding and the Jumpman Jordan branding on the 2013 pair, we do move to the outsoles. There is Jordan that is embossed on the 2013 pair, and then on the 2020 pair we have Nike embossed in the black rubber outsole. And in my opinion, in drawing comparisons between the uppers and the quality of leather on the uppers between the 2013 and 2020 pair, it is definitely noticeable how much better in quality the 2020s are with actual real leather. And I might not be 100% sure on the 2013s, but these definitely feel like synthetic leather throughout the uppers on this sneaker. Like even just pressing on the heel molding, you'll see that the texture on the 2020s begins to wrinkle and show their texture, whereas the 2013s just look unfazed. However, the 2013s did age well and crease quite gracefully around the toe box, and as mentioned, there is that yellowing that you will see even with your 2020 pair with wear right along the mesh on the midfoot, as well as the icy blue outsole. And I guess the genius behind Virgil Abloh's idea of already making his outsole yellow on the Nike Off-White Jordan 5s was so that it looked already worn in, and I kind of dig that look over time. It is what it is. They are going to turn yellow, but man, as long as I can kind of keep that blue icy outsole, I'm gonna try. And then lastly, a couple more items of note on the 2020 pair before we close the in-depth review out. This pair is quite heavy. I don't know about you guys, but I don't remember them being quite as heavy, almost like a boot in hand. So let me know if you guys also feel that when holding this sneaker. And secondly, if you did take these sneakers out of box and had to do a double take like me at the toe box and saw kind of like a divot-like pressing into the actual toe box, do not be worried. It's just because the actual lace lock and how these got kind of pressed into each other while in box resulted in that divot-like pressing. So trust me, I had to do a double take as well, and I thought my toe box was damaged, but it is because the leather is really soft, and like I said, the lace locks are pressing against the toe box when they are flipped. However, now is my favorite part of the video where I finally get to throw these sneakers on feet, style them, and give you guys a closer look. When it comes to sizing, these are advised to fit true to size, and I'd agree. I picked up a size 9.5 US, which is my standard size, and these fit perfectly on my feet. These sneakers dropped last Saturday, May 2nd, with a full-size family run with the retail price of 200 USD, and for us here in Canada, 260 Canadian. These were sold out and all adult sizing on the first day, and probably within the first hour, these did drop. I do feel like there were a lot of sizing and a lot of pairs made of this sneaker, specifically in adult sizing, because I take a lot of L's online. I don't know about you guys with sneaker releases, and I kind of comfortably checked out with these sneakers on Foot Locker Canada. So to be honest, it was nice to enjoy the rest of my Saturday and not have the anxiety of having to enter another raffle or take another attempt online and picking these sneakers up. And shout out to Foot Locker Canada for turning around the shipment, and probably in a matter of 4 or 5 days, I basically had these in my hands, with the review coming a full week later after the the actual release. And so if you did miss out on this sneaker and do want to check this out, I've left a direct link in the description box below for you to check out a resale site and potentially pick up this pair for yourself. And now is the part of the video where I make my case for whether you should shoot, hold, or pass on your shot at these sneakers. And if you've watched my videos before, then you know the criteria around the shoot, hold, and pass, and so I'm not even gonna waste your time. If you've got an open shot at these sneakers, you shoot all day. Buckets on buckets, these sneakers are a can't miss. When it comes to the Air Jordan 5 Retro Fire Reds, the Jordan brand knocked these so far out of the park, and honestly, these are my favorite Jordan Retro release of this year, hands down. And my reasoning is simple. These might be the closest in resemblance to the 1990 pair in terms of their cut and material quality, and it's very rare in a day where we do get retros that the quality actually improves over the past retro, and I honestly feel like that happens to be the case, especially when compared to the 2013 pair. And to be fair, I have read and seen other reviews about this sneaker being a little bit more beefy or even taller in height than that of the 1990 pair, and I don't have that retro in hand for me to draw that comparison, but I am going to be honest, despite it having a shinier tongue or even some of the other dressings, this is a very quality sneaker. The leather is so nice on the sneaker, and of course the 1990 pair that Michael Jordan wore on court is probably the best of the best, but this sneaker is a really good take and stab at the OG 1990 pair. But like I said, in a world of mass-produced sneakers where the quality of retros tends to lean more towards the side of quantity than quality, and very rarely with improvements in material quality like the leathers to previous retros, these are a standout, and seriously an 11 out of 10 for me. I absolutely love these, and I'm sure you will too when you get these in your hands. But now I'd love to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on the 2020 Air Jordan 5 Retro Fire Reds? Did you pick the sneaker up, and did the Jordan brand knock this sneaker out of the park, or are there details on this sneaker that you would change or even improve on? Let me know in the comments section below, and I'd love to connect with you guys there. Give this video a like if you enjoyed the review, and if you really liked it, I hope that you will smash that subscribe button and join the community on this channel, because we've got a lot more sneaker reviews that are on the way. But that's all for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, for your time and support of this channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.